Welcome to the MorrowMarriage podcast. And I made a reel and a post that pissed people off, and it was on you can't control your partner. We're going to talk about why peace is so important in the home.
Stop trying to lead and make decisions all the time.
You should not be proud if you raised your voice and screamed at them.
No matter what.
No matter what.
I'm Cass.
And I'm Kathryn. Why am I allowing him to do this in front of our children? Why am I allowing this to happen at all? You don't get to say whatever you want to a man and push him to the point where he snaps.
I might have been a really bad man the other day, but today I went out of my way to be a good man, and she thanked me for it.
Is that you always want to act in the direction you want to go. So
He is just a paycheck. What about his needs?
we're MorrowMarriage.
Let's flip divorce statistics with the new marriage.
And the post was the first post I made in a while, like post, picture writing. And I started to do this thing, and man, it made some people very upset because I said, you can't control your wife, not partner. And I said, I call bullshit. And it pissed a lot of women off because I don't know if they didn't want to read the context, if they didn't want to take the time to understand it. Unfortunately, this is a hot topic, and I had a lot of examples, and you're limited to characters on Instagram. So I make it the same for every platform. So I wanted to go through it with my wife because I think this is super valuable for men to hear. And I'm going to tell you why.
He controls me.
There was a point in our relationship actually where I was like, sometimes and this is me talking insecurity, but trying to sound confident and just showing her that I love her. Okay. There's your picture of the man I was. And I was like, sometimes I just think about locking you in the basement.
You used to say that a lot. We make jokes about it now.
Yeah, but I was serious, but kind of joking, but serious. Anyway, talk about insecure. This is really important. I want your perspective, baby cakes, because
I love when you call me baby cakes.
Right.
That's my
So
favorite.
when I brought this up with my men, it was before Christmas or just after, I can't remember. And a bunch of men were upset started with one man, and his wife was coming at him quite mean. And there's all these things that happen with some of the wives and some of the guys. And this is in a men's chat group 24/7. So it's building for a couple of days. And it started to come out from a lot of guys. You can't control your wife. Now, this is something that I don't know if you know about women's programs, but in men's programs, almost every one of the people that are out there selling their program for men will say you can't control your wife. Okay. It does not mean manipulation, at least in the programs that I know of. It does not mean control and, manipulate, control.
Locking them in the basement.
Lock them in the basement. Yeah. It means like you can grow, but you can't force her to grow. You can reflect. You can't force her to reflect. You can fix yourself. You can't force her to fix herself. And in whatever order you want, I purposely ran that out of a different order because for a lot of people looking, it could be overwhelming with what do I do with myself? And then, of course, you're wondering if it's going to work, which is why you'd invest in a program. Well, you can't control your wife. You can't control your husband when you invest in a program. But that is not the point, and that's why I call bullshit. Okay? And this is what there were comments where people were like, honey, you'd never believe this. Like, well, they even quoted my title. Mm-hmm. I said, did you read it? Mm-hmm. And they quoted my title with quotations. You can't control your wife, I call bullshit, end quotation. And I wrote back again, I strongly recommend that you read it.
Yeah.
Wink. Like, what happened was this. My men started all coming at it like, you can't control your wife, can't control your wife. And, I got a bunch of messages from guys texting me saying, you got to get in there, you got to help. I got on the group call and I said, listen, I don't care who has to talk about anything today. Today, I'm going to talk. We're going to call it a presentation. And I got into it. You guys are talking about controlling your wife. Remember, guys, getting her to follow, reflect, fix herself.
Not telling her what to do.
Yeah. And follow, you might get confused with control also. Listen, if you're reflecting and changing, your partner, male or female, can follow that lead. Okay?
Yeah, follow. If that just means you're being a leader.
That's right.
Don't misconstrue anything here.
So I said, you guys are going to learn today. You guys are all looking for your wife to follow. And let's talk about you. So first I started with generic. And then I started to pick them off one by one. How many of you said you're going to work out and haven't worked out at all, or started and stopped? And here I picked off one example. I was like, I know you, Matt, have worked out and stopped 3 different programs in 5.5 months? So you still look the same? Okay, cool. And then I started to carry on. How many of you are broke? I know how much money you make. I know how I can help you make money. Part of what I do that's different than other relationship programs is I can help with health, wealth, and relationship. And you're not even taking advantage trying to make more money. So what? You're still broke? You're not trying to make $2,500 more a month? You think that you don't need to do that? You don't think that money's important? You can't be stressed about. Anyways, and then we keep on going. And I'm giving all these generic examples. And then I started picking them off like I did with Matt. Bill, you're supposed to be using the last module, Man at Play, to make your wife feel loved, valued, respected, seen, and heard, and like your woman, and she knows that you're her man. That's what the last module is for, okay? More about passion in the relationship. And you have all this other work that's done. Obviously, it's why that's the last one. So you've been told to use that module 3 months in a row, and you haven't. And your wife comes at you, and you're upset because she's insecure. I realize she's got her own issues. Again, can't control your wife, can't make her reflect. But you're not even showing up doing your own thing. So as I'm picking off these men, I'm listing off all these things that they're doing wrong, focusing on work more, but saying, I don't have time for you, when their wife is saying, I just wish I had more time with you. I don't feel like a priority. Literally given the golden nuggets, and he's saying, I have to work too much. And so I hope you understand. The first part is you can't control your wife, but who the fuck are you? Who's controlling you? You need to take control of you. If you can't follow through on a step-by-step laid out program with men around the world, coaches 5 days a week on Zoom, and mentorship calls available to you, and you can't work out, make your money, pick up your book, take your wife on a date, say thank you, be a better father, all the things that we teach, and it goes well beyond that. But if you can't follow through, why in the world are you worried about your wife following your lead? Why in the world are you worried about your wife trusting you or not trusting you, making changes after reflecting for herself because she saw your example? You have no foot or ground to stand on. I tore a strip off money.
Mm-hmm. I think I was in the kitchen while you're doing that.
Oh, so you know all about this.
A little bit.
Okay, so what is your take? Do you have things like this happening with women, or is this a man thing?
I would say it's more of a man thing.
Ooh,
because
hot topic.
Yeah, because I do talk to my women. You can't control your husband, but I do say that I use your line all the time. 6s and 7s can't be with 10s. So as you grow, while my goal is to help you stay in your marriage, and my goal is to help you influence your husband's behavior so that as you grow, he grows with you, it's very possible that you could outgrow him. And if you outgrow him, heaven forbid, I will help you through that transition as well.
Well said, honey.
Yeah. So I would say women look at it from a different perspective. By the time a woman gets to me, she is desperate for her husband to be on board, desperate for her husband to follow her, and she is open to anything that I want to tell her. I call myself a motivational ranter when I'm on my because
I love that.
I have some of the analogies that I come up with as I'm on these calls. It just is mind blowing. And so I'm not a speaker, but I'm a motivational ranter. You give me 30 minutes of your time, I will blow your mind on a coaching call. And as I'm helping them through all of these little situations, and
I'll take 30 minutes of that time after this call.
Okay, you got it. Only 30.
Well, that's all the criteria for blowing your mind. So
oh, it's mine to blow.
Oh, damn it! All right, go, ranter.
Yes. So as I'm having these motivational rants, I will pinpoint little pieces where they can be doing a little bit better. They can be leading him in a different way. And when you lead your husband, it's a lot different than leading your wife. Yes, you're still going to inspire and influence your husband, but your husband needs to be edified. Yes, a woman needs to be loved and needs to be edified, but a husband really does need to feel loved, valued, respected, admired. Women need that too, but it's a different degree. Men and women are different.
Well, and by the time things have gone bad, there's so many different degrees of what a woman needs, right? I'll use it. One example.
I was talking about what men need though, so let me finish that thought.
Yeah, I was just building on it though.
Okay.
If just real quick, then I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah.
Somebody use one example because I don't want to steal your thunder, but it's most of you are trying to help at home instead of being involved as a partner. You're doing it to get noticed instead of just being an adult, things like that. So by the time you're trying to edify and build up respect, make your wife feel seen and heard, dude, she's not safe and she doesn't have a partner. There's all these other things going on that, you know? So anyways, now go.
The last thing I'll say, and it might be disconnected from my previous thought, but when it comes to controlling your husband, not being able to control your husband, one of the mistakes that a lot of women make by the time they get to me, they have been stepping into their masculine. They haven't been relaxing into their feminine. They have been controlling too much. And so they need to step back and give the reins back to their partner. So they need to still lead their family with love and grace. They need to edify their husband. They need to stop overruling their husband and stop undermining their husband and allow their husband to step into that role, which feels uncomfortable. So I would say for women, yes, we talk about you can't control your husband, but you certainly can influence. And then you can give your husband the ability to be the leader that we just learned today. You might not have learned it today, but I learned it today, that you change hormonally based on the person that you need to be. So for example, if a man makes all the money and the woman is able to be that more feminine role.
I was telling you about that from John Gray today.
Yeah. I didn't know if you learned it today. You told me today. So I learned today. I didn't know if you learned it. Yeah. So John Gray, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. He was on a coaching call with him today. In a breakout room. Super cool. I think it's super cool. I'm so jealous that I wasn't on that call. But he works with people where women, they have more testosterone because they've been forced into making more decisions, into having that role in their home, into having to make money and support the family. So it literally changes you hormonally. Now I'm getting off on a tangent. But the point is, you asked me, do women see it the same way? No. We do believe that we can influence our partners, our husbands. We do believe that we want them to grow with us, but there is the opportunity to outgrow your husband if he's not going to come along for the ride.
Okay. I like that a lot. And now what about consistency? Like my men, when they're struggling and worried about this control thing, well, you're not being consistent, dude. Like trust is foundational. Safety is foundational for peace in your home. Like, do you have a problem with the women being consistent? And I don't mean like when we're talking about like the last episode with you're in a valley, he's bringing up the past. I just mean in general, like you're talking about basic shit here. Like you said you're going to work out and now you're not. You said you were going to finish taking that book and then ask questions about how to make more money. You said you were going to take your wife on a date and then you didn't. You decided to work. Like, do we have the same problems with women?
The way that I've heard you describe it, not the same. No.
Interesting.
I think that women, they work, I don't want to say that they work harder. I think that they come from a bigger place of desperation. And so they have a bigger drive because they often have a very big power struggle. So they're already coming into the situation where they are on the low end of the power struggle. They have less power. And so they need to work to get their husband to believe all of these changes. So yes, they struggle with consistency, but consistency isn't one of the main issues that I work with my women. No.
Okay. So we're going to end this, but we're not done with this. So this is what I want to do. I would like to take this episode and get your girls, your women, and my men to listen to it. And here's why, when you're listening and watching this right now, because we are talking about men and women in our programs trying. You know, Kathryn mentioned several times, I think 3, that the women are coming, they're feeling desperate to make changes, to see something different in their marriage. I also believe that's the same thing with men. And I would like to dive more into this from a perspective of growth. Not a man-woman thing, but a perspective of growth. But one thing that I'll say before we go is I am very impressed about this way you picked up on the masculine hormonal thing, etc. And I'll tell you why. Because dudes, if you're listening, you're also in your feminine when you are letting this all happen. So it's the flip of what Kathryn was talking about. So listen to this again. All right. We will get answers from our people and we'll bring this back for a part 2 on You Can't Control Your Partner. See you next time.
See you guys.